the team?
Yeah, really pleased to have Mark in, and obviously he'll bring that. I mean, when you see him, you won't miss him. He's a good size, and just real competitive nature with him. And another younger player that we wanted to bring in, and certainly with Akin's injury, we felt we needed to go and strengthen again really in that. So the profile that Mark fits is really key for us coming in there. Somebody that played over 35 games last season at the level what he played, that was good, and somebody that's thirsting and hungering to play more games, Rob. And yeah, he's got the opportunity to play games here, hopefully, if he does well.
Obviously, he's coming at the end of the week. Is he ready to start this weekend? Is he going to need some time? How do you feel about it?
No, we feel that he's ready to go, and that was the key as well, really, making decision making in trying to bring another central defender in. It was somebody that would be upward and mobile, ready to step in. So we feel we've got somebody that is ready to step in, and with the games that we've got coming up, you have to be ready to go. And as I said, there was a couple, 2 or 3 that we were looking at, and one of the reasons in our careful picking the next one was where were they in terms of starting and playing games. So we feel it's in that good position.
Are you happy with your defensive options now, Darren, or are you still looking for a left-footed defender as well?
No, I think now, in terms of when I look along the defensive line now, I think I'm happy in terms of what we've got there and the competitiveness that they'll all bring now in terms of it really. So in terms of that department, Rob, I'm happy with that.
Fitness-wise, is Michael Smith ready to come back into the team?
Not quite, Rob. Not quite yet at the moment, but he's edging closer. He's into probably the final stages of his rehabilitation. So yeah, he's nearing now, which will be a welcome bonus when we get him back.
And how's Jack Hunt? And is there any other health news ahead of the Bolton game?
Yeah, Hunty, we got to make a decision on him tomorrow. But again, he's come back in after we know with his situation where he was at. So we'll look at him. Any other issues really is just really looking at the group in terms of where they're at after the match in midweek, and then just coming from there really, Rob. So unless anybody what I've missed from an injury point of view, then I think they're all okay.
As you look at the 5 goals you've conceded so far, is the formation creating a bit of an issue, do you think?
Possible. It's another one to look at, Rob. You know, I've spoken about this season we'll work a system change. It's just me getting certain personnel in and getting it right. But this season will almost, I would say, which I've said it at the start in pre-season, that we'll work with a 3, we'll work with a 4 in terms of a system change. And I think that's, I would almost say, inevitable at some point this season, without a doubt, because it's something that I want to work and work towards really in terms of it, and I want that versatility. So looking at it, yeah, I'd almost say that looking at the system, that may be a possibility, but it won't be the only reason.
Marvin Johnson's been such an impactful player for you. I just wonder though, how suited do you think he is to the role of left wing back, given the nature of the goals conceded and with him being naturally a more attack-minded player?
Yeah, Marvin's played that position. God, I can remember Marvin probably back in his days when he was playing at probably Oxford, playing in that sort of that wide role, and it's something that he's used to clearly in his career, and somebody that's played hundreds of games there. So it's something that's clearly been identified there with him, and like I said, it's something on that left hand side that, you know, he has to get used to, because it won't just be identified now. I would imagine it's something that's been identified all of his career. And what I'd say, Rob, is that all professionals get tested week in, week out in terms of their ability on the pitch to compete and go up against opposition players, but also in holding that position and making that position his own. And clearly Marvin has done that over his career. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to be an established professional footballer.
And when the ball comes in the box, Darren, do you need somebody to really organise things? You know, make sure that someone's in the best possible position to get ahead on a ball? Or do you need your keeper to come out and just, you know, wipe everybody out and get the ball? What do you need to do to prevent this happening again in future games, the 5 goals that you've conceded so far?
Yeah, I mean, all those things what you said, first time contacts, your goalkeeper, getting in the right position, body shape to deal with it, doing your work early, anticipation, being proactive instead of not reactive. All those things that go in hand, and ability to stop the ball, at work hard at trying to stop it from coming in your box. All those kind of aspects go into it, but also there are individual contacts within it, but also it's a team, a whole team ethics and dynamics really in terms of working together. And that's why in football there's so many different variations and options, because there's so many people involved. But it's getting that and working on it, Rob, and to get that dynamics of the game right, it's working on it. There's always stuff in the game to work on from an attacking and defending point of view, in and out of possession, always, regardless of what point in the season you are. There is always consistent work. There's consistent work to bring new ideas. There's consistent work to the old ideas you got, getting better at it and showing more goal prowess and obviously a solidity in defence. So there's constantly, every single week, every single day, there is work to be done, and the aim is just simply getting better.
How do you feel Dominik Ioff has played in the times that he's been in the team this season? Mixed,
Rob. It's been mixed, really, in terms of it. There's been some good moments to him that we've seen in Dom, and there's been some elements of his game that we think can be better. We know it can be better. I just think with Dom, the attributes that he's got, I've said to him this season already, the attributes that he's got this season, he can be the best defender because of simply what he's got. And he's got so many wonderful attributes to him now. It's just him getting himself to a stage where he's able to get to that level and get to that level of consistency about his game. So it's been a little bit mixed, but again with him, I love his desire and his temperament, Rob, just to consistently work. I mean, he's worked incredibly hard again this week, and it's wonderful to see a senior pro member such as himself, with what the attributes that he's got, consistently working on his game. And it's been such a blessing to see him this week do that. But he has to continue doing it, and the order for him is to get better, because he wants to play, he wants to succeed, he wants to continue, and it's an important season for him.
Presumably you have spoken to George Byers and Jamie Smith. We did chat after the game, and you said ask me on Friday for an opinion on what happened there. So what is your take on that incident?
Yeah, Rob, and at the time when you asked me on the Friday, I didn't see, and when you look back at the video footage, my eyes never leave the pitch, so I didn't really see what happened. But obviously I looked at the footage. I've obviously spoken to players, staff, and I suppose the word that they used, it was just probably a storm in a teacup. Obviously just high emotions really with the game. And I suppose from our point of view and from everybody's point of view, you want to see that passion and commitment. Obviously, George didn't want to come off the pitch, as did anybody want to come off the pitch. It's just that as professional people, we're paid to keep our emotions in check and not show it outwardly. In the same midweek game, we saw a high volatile Premier League match where two managers came head to head, which brought entertainment, to our TVs, because it just shows where the games come at. And I was watching that game, and lo and behold, did I ever think an incident was going to come on the midweek? So, and what happens with it, like everybody's saying, it's just the emotions of the game. But 24 hours later, when everything's calmed down, both men have apologised, both have shaken, they both hugged and made up yesterday. and we move on, and that's what we just do. But at the time, Rob, when you asked me, honestly, I had no idea that had gone on. I was absolutely oblivious to it.
Last week I asked you about the competition in midfield potentially driving on the likes of Dennis Adeniran and Deli Bashiri to impress, when they've been given opportunities. I just wondered, did we see the other side of the equation to that this week? Because George Byers' reaction could easily be put down to a player who's played well when he's been on the pitch, perhaps feels he's not getting the time he deserves, and then he's the one who comes up after 40 minutes. Is it fair to think that actually this is one of the challenges you've got, keeping these players from becoming frustrated with the time that they're getting on the pitch?
Yeah, and rightly so. And this is the competition is fierce here, but what we want to do is create here, and all the Wednesday fans will want a team playing for Sheffield Wednesday that's going them extra yards for the basis of that's what's required, but also at the same time to keep hold of jersey. And that's the wonderful thing that I'm trying to create with this group and squad of players, that we're working with lesser numbers this season, but we're trying to up in terms of the competition of quality amongst the players and amongst the squad this season. I can understand George's frustration, because when you look back at it, Rob, for those 30 odd minutes, 40 odd minutes, he was playing quite well. He was doing quite well. He was getting us on the ball, and he was starting to construct things together, and he can feel really, really unfortunate. But obviously these incidents happen in games, and you're having to make a decision. And I think any one of the players would have felt aggrieved to come off, because at the time we had the bit between the teeth and going up against a very, very good team, but stamping our authority in the game. So I can understand that in terms of the game time. But like I said, I believe that with the fixtures that we got, the fixture list that we got, and the squad that we've got, I just don't want to be in a position, Rob, where last season when the transfer window closed and we had those 4 centre-backs out injured and we had injuries, and when you look back over last season, it was like a patch-up model what we had to do at times to get through. And I just don't want for us here at Sheffield Wednesday that when the window closes in less than 2 weeks' time, we've got a group of players and a relatively strong squad what's going to keep challenging going forward. And if we do suffer certain injuries, which is going to happen, we've got the versatility and the strength in depth to handle those. And that's the reason why, in terms of recruitment side and how the team looks this season, in terms of how we want to go.
Final question from me, Darren. Have you got too many options in midfield, though? Because depth is good, but I'm sure Dennis Adeniran thought, wow, what a game I've had against Sunderland, I'm warranted a start. And then Deli Bashiri will think, I've played well enough to warrant a start. George Byers probably thinks, I've played well for Sheffield Wednesday probably since the new year, and now I'm not getting games. You've got Bannon in there, you've got Volks in there, I probably missed somebody out. You've got a lot of options in that midfield, and you can only pick 2 or 3 week to week, and it's going to become increasingly difficult, I would suggest, to do that, to keep them all sort of happy.
I would say we've probably got predominantly 6 in there really, and there's probably 3 positions in there, so each and every single one of them's got 50% of playing every single week in terms of getting in. I really feel, Rob, that in terms of it, it'll be down to the individuals, and also as well with them in there, Rob, you still got 1 or 2 of them feel like they're probably trying to catch up in terms of game and match minutes and game speed. So there's probably 1 or 2 of them in there, probably, Rob, that we feel that can't manage a full consistent 90 minutes in terms of getting that robustness to their games. And I think at the start of the season, we've witnessed that with them still trying to find their level best, and they're still competing in there. So with that in there, in terms of the options, I like the options that we've got in there. I do like the options that we've got in there. And as all of them are playing, there's different combinations that you can play in there, which is wonderful for us to have. I think we've got finesse. I think we've got power. I think we've got grit. I think we've got creativity in there. And I think they all bring that. All 6 of them bring that. There's not one of them what's got that. All 6 of them bring those attributes in them. At times for games, it's finding that right blend and them attributes to come together, but also at the same time, they're all competing to start. So everything what you said there is absolutely spot on, but also at the same time, those are the reasons why we've got those players in there, and that's why they've got to compete in terms of that. And the actual thing is, with them wanting to compete to get in, it shows that they all want to play.
Thanks, Darren. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, Rob. Thank you.
You all right, Darren? How's it going?
Afternoon, Joe.
Just to sort of touch on Mark, obviously good signing. I understand there was other clubs in league above who were looking at him as well. How pleased are you that once again the Wednesday name has helped you get the deal over the line?
Yeah, really pleased because again, there was real competition for him, which you can understand, and I'm just pleased that he's given us the opportunity to talk to him, and obviously he's decided to come to us this season and sort of continue his career. He's solid, like I said to you, Joe. He's got good mobility. He's got a wonderful range in terms of passes in him, and he just wants to compete and play, and that's what it is. And because, like I said to you, we suffered the injury to Akin, with 3 central defenders there, we just wanted to add one more in terms of it, because as I said, sort of once bitten, twice shy in terms of where we was at last year with them central defenders, and I just don't want to be down that scenario again, not just with the defenders, throughout the team.
And I think a lot of people sort of expect you to go after a left-footed centre-back when Akin went out injured. With Mark, I'm right in saying he's a right footer, right? With him, do you see him as having a good enough left foot to play on that left-hand side, or is he more of a player that you would play in the other 2 positions and someone else would go to that left-hand centre-back position?
Yeah, we feel that, even though first question is left-footers don't fall off trees, Joe. They're very few and far between, and it's probably one of the most difficult positions to get because everybody wants them. So, first and foremost is we had our left footer in, and it's just unfortunate what's happened has happened. But he's making wonderful progress in terms of getting back to full fitness. So we feel that bringing sort of Mark in has been no problem, because when you look at where his career is, predominantly played all down the left-hand side, centre, a little bit on the right-hand side. So we feel he's capable of handling that. And that's why we look to get him in there, and that's probably one of the reasons when we was looking to recruit another one in there, why he came high on top of our list, and why we had to move really quickly, because had we not signed him, Joe, then I'm almost sure I'd have been reading about him signing for somebody else today.
Excellent. And just so you touched on Akin there, with this situation, what are we looking at with him? Like, is his season over? Is his year over? Like, when do you expect him to be sort of in and around the team again?
No. The season's not over, that's for sure. And we expect it to be certainly back before the year's out, that's for sure. So, yeah, he's making wonderful. But in terms of that, he's still got a significant part to play in the season. By the time he comes back in, he'll have well over half as good and some part of the season to play, which is still good.
Excellent, that's good news. And just to touch on Barry and Josh, obviously you left them out of the starting 11 the other day. Are they both ready to start this weekend if you need them to?
Yeah, they're both ready. Both good and trained well and that. So both of them two are back and part of the squad for tomorrow.
Good stuff. And I saw some pictures today of Josh Ashman training with the first team. From what I can gather and from what I've seen of him, Josh has come on a lot in the last sort of 8-9 months or so. How impressed have you been with his progress?
I've been really impressed, and what I've done this season, Joe, is I've left a little door open this season for the academy in terms of under 18s or under 23s, and there's a space available in terms of the best player having that pathway through. I think we've got to nurture and find and develop our very, very own. And like I've been saying to, Academy Manager Steve Haslam, in terms of how I'm working this season, there's a genuine opportunity. And there's a couple over in the academy that we feel has got the capabilities of it. And I always say to the players, Joe, when they come across and they're training with us, they're not here to make up the numbers. They're here to really be a part of the session and contribute and show their class and quality in terms of, and the deserving right to come across here. So when they do come across to us, I don't want them to freeze. I want them to play freely and be themselves as young as they are. So it's wonderful when they do come across, they've got that temperament, and it's good to see that there's a clear connection there with them coming across, and that's how I want to do it, is open the door for them and see what we've got coming through in our academy, but really nurturing them too and getting them through to the first team and letting them see and taste what it's all about.
With the youngsters, obviously, when you're pushing for a league title, it's tough to sort of give those chances to the younger players. Do you genuinely feel like there are players within the 21s now, possibly within the 18s, that have got a real chance of playing any first team football this season?
That would be down to them. There's one or two of them that I think is got the potential. How close they are, you don't know. But the reason why you bring them over and you bring them in with us, Joe, is because when they train, they're actually training the groups of two things with them. They see the level and the standard, what they've got to get to. They see the power. They see the decision making. They see the understanding, the importance of when your defensive side of it and the attacking side of it. They get all them in tandem. But also you as a manager and a coaching staff look at the speed and the physicality and their decision making in that environment. Are they capable of doing it? And that's where you get your decisions making with them. But also at the same time, the senior pros are so good with them that they let them feel at ease. So all those kind of characteristics going hand in hand. But what you see from them is a growth, a development from them in terms of when they do come over, they know what's expected. So it's really, really good to see. And the demands, what they put on them, even though they're young players, we put demands on them because that's what's expected. If you are to play, that's what's expected from you. So there's a clear understanding with them. And it's a big year for them, all of them this season, in terms of how they go about it in their under-23s and coming into the first team, because that is the second group down from the first team. And I think it's probably one of the most important groups with the pool of players in, because they are one step away from getting into the seniors or earning a professional contract.
Yeah, lovely. And with the offers that have come in for the loans that you mentioned last week, have you had any more time to think about that in terms of whether those guys are going to be heading out on loan or not?
Yeah, there's some offers came in for some of them on loans, but all round it's got to be right in terms of, we want the players to go there and get a definite opportunity for game time. There's so many different things that go in with the loan, and as I said to you, if it works, then great. If not, then we're keeping them in and they're working with us every day. But at any point, with regards to one of our younger players going out on loan, that could happen at any point.
Perfect. And just lastly for me, Darren, I want to sort of touch on something you said after the game at Peterborough. You're talking about the difference between sort of set piece goals defended from crosses and open play goals defended conceded from crosses. What is it about the two things that does make it so different? Because you said that you were pleased that you weren't conceding from set piece anymore, but I think for your average layman, people will go, it's still a goal from a cross. Can you sort of explain why the two are so different, please? Yeah.
So a set play generally is a static position. So you take a corner, for instance, and the corner comes straight in, you get your first time contacts. Then you got a set play from a second phase, and a second phase can be from the first initial corner or free kick, it gets headed out. So of course, when it's a second phase, it's still in and around the vicinity, but obviously in the box, bodies move, because every second the ball moves, the picture changes. So the ball moves, so you can get people running off the back here, people running in front here, people coming short, people coming deep. And then all of a sudden, the projection of the ball in the box is different. So the projection of the ball is different, and then you can get many different things can happen from a second phase. That's a set play. Another set play is from can be a throw-in. A throw-in can be a set play where it can be thrown back, set play, and then delivered in the box. Or from a throw-in, patterns can be working, come in the box. That's another that's another different phase. So it's different because bodies can move. Generally in a game, when the ball's in free play going, the ball's coming in from the positions, but it might be a rolling moving board delivered at speed. So there may be lesser time to think about it, quicker decisions, making decisions. So when there's a set play, there's an initial bit where you go over, you put the ball down, you set it up. There's a quietness. Everybody's still. Everybody's running into position. The opposition team or you can take as long as you want to set the ball down to take it. In free play, the ball's moving. So as the ball's moving, it's moving at speed and that. So the delivery is different. So the difference is what I was saying was, yes, they are from those wide positions, but whereas last season they were from more static positions, this season we've conceded with the ball more in free play. So that's just the difference I'm giving in terms of the differences, what things can happen in the box. That it is, yes, it is a cross, but there's more of a split second to decide things. And in that moment, as a defenders or midfield players or attackers, you've got a split second to make the right decision. What we've been making in those split seconds has been the wrong decision. Why? Because the ball's in the back of the net. It's as simple as that, really. It's as simple as that. So in that split second, you need to make the right decision. And more than variably than not, it's those split decisions that you've got to get right at that moment in time to keep the ball at the back of the net. And that's been it, really. So you'll always hear managers being disappointed from a set play, because a set play comes down to that. Both of them are concentration, but the set plays, you had time to set up and see it. Whereas in free play, you've got to make the decision, split decision real quickly. And I think that's been the things this season where, again, you can kind of replicate situations again this week in training, but lo and behold, I'm sure the ball will come in different, or there'll be split decisions needed made tomorrow. And invariably, every single week, you ask the questions to try and get that right. And that just won't be tomorrow. That'll be out throughout the season. We'll have set plays against us this season that we'll defend. We'll have set plays that go in against us. It's just the law and averages of football, Joe. What you hope for to have a successful campaign is that you get it more right than you do wrongs with it.
Perfect. Hopefully another 6'4" defender will help you deal with those.
Yeah.
Cheers, Darren. I'll see you there tomorrow.
Cheers.
Hi, Darren. How are you doing?
Hello, Dom. Yeah, you okay?
Yeah, very good, thank you. Going back to Mark, how long had you been tracking him for?
We'd been tracking him for a number. Well, as soon as we sustained the injury, he was obviously on one of our list of possible targets. The beautiful thing for it, Dom, in that time, he hadn't gone anywhere, but it's just about the timing at the time, really. So we'd pushed the button and decided to do the process in bringing him here, and glad to have him here.
And when you've spoken to him before he came, I mean, what was your sort of message to him about joining the club and what you're sort of expecting from him?
Yeah, no, expecting him to come in and compete for a position in the team that, you know, we've got one or two defenders, but we see the attributes that he's got in terms of what he's going to bring to us and what we'd like him to bring to us. Even though one's so young, Dom, he's got relatively good experience and played at a level. So that was good as well. I love his competitive nature that he carries, but also at the same time for him, he's got development in his game as well that he wants to be developed, and we want to develop in him. But I think the both of us can work well in terms of him bringing him into the club and us possibly giving him that good game time and that development, which will see him even get better than where we feel he's at now.
Is there an option with Mark to sign him on a permanent basis if he does well?
We didn't. We just we've had it on a loan period, but there's always a possibility to sign players if the deal's right for both parties, really. But we won't have to go into that because initially we've got him, and we're grateful for Cardiff for letting us have him on a season loan.
How many more players would you like to bring in?
We've got none imminent, Dom. So there's none. We have our eye on one or two, but are we saying that they're going to come in? No, because we've got none imminent at the moment. At the moment, we had to move real quickly to get Mark in, and we're pleased to have him in with the injury that we sustained to Akin. So we're really pleased to have him in and solidify that defence further. which is really important.
You touched on the loan offers in the last week or so that you had for some of the younger players. Have you had any other inquiries for your players in the last few days, this week?
Not that I've heard of, Dom. There's been none at the moment. But let's see. The transfer window tends to have that tendency that it's quiet until the latter parts of it, and then it just heats up. So, but at the moment, with that question you've asked, Dom, is that we've not had any offers as yet.
But from your perspective, you'd want to keep this squad intact anyway, and not have anyone leave before the end of the window and when it shuts.
Yeah, no, absolutely, 100% agreed, Dom. I want to keep it as it is here now, and I don't want anybody to leave.
On Bolton, how would you assess their start to the season?
Yeah, very good, really good. A team that's, they're settled. They've got a nice rhythm about them, they've got a wonderful flair about them, and a team that I would have thought that are looking to make an impact in the division and this season going forward. So I would say they've started the season very well, and I'll be pleased with the start that they've made. I think it's a wonderful fixture for both teams tomorrow. I'd probably be saying, looking at it, it's probably the fixture of the day really tomorrow in terms of where both clubs are at really. So it'll be a great game. They're a good team, and like I said, for us to be get anything from it tomorrow, we're going to have to be at a level best as well really, in terms of competing and making sure that if we are to come away with anything, we're going to have to be at our very, very best.
You're going to have over 5,000 Wednesday fans there tomorrow, and how confident are you that you're going to get a strong response from the team to what happened the other day at Peterborough?
Yeah, we always look for a strong response, Dom. At Peterborough the other day, going down to 10 men, it is what it is, and obviously you never want to go down to 10 men, but it is. But you got to remember that the challenge that was made with an honest just attempt to go and win the ball, which left the referee with a decision to make that win against us. But I think with the performance at Peterborough, I think you saw up until that point there was nothing in the game, and you saw after that, with us going a man down, that the team worked extremely hard to come away, and we went 50 odd minutes, nearly 60 minutes with 10 men, so we worked extremely hard. It's another one tomorrow, and we got to compete again. Every single game that we compete in, that Sheffield Wednesday take part in, we've got to compete, and that's first and foremost every single week, and tomorrow's no different really. Great to hear that we got 5,000 fans there. I remember it last season, and we carried a few across there, and we look forward to seeing them all there in their numbers tomorrow. And as I said, hopefully tomorrow we can keep carrying and building our performance in terms of going forward, and that's all we want here really in terms of that.
How important is it to keep on improving the mentality away from home?
Again, Dom, another part to the game that's really important. Mentality away from home, mentality at home. Every time, this is a new season. What's gone on last season's gone with and done with, so you're always trying to build. It's a brand new season, and there's so many different things to build on. It's an away game tomorrow. It's another tough game away from home tomorrow. But like you said, in order to do things in this league this season, you're going to come up with these against these teams, and we got to be at our level best. And so the mentality has to continue for us all going forward.
Josh is the only striker in the league that scored a goal, and that's come from the penalty spot. Is that a concern for you? No. Because I keep saying, as long as we're getting the chances and creating, then we'll score goals in terms of it. So no, that's not a concern for me in terms of it, because as I said, last season we were a team that, when you look at us, goals came from all over the pitch really in terms of that. So and hopefully we'll carry on in that same vein this season, where it's not just predominantly your strikers what are scoring, we're scoring goals all over the pitch.
And just lastly, Darren, how close is Jaden Brown to getting an opportunity to show what he can do?
Extremely close, Dom, in terms of that. You know, we feel that he's in a position where he's ready, and I'm sure when and if the opportunity does come, I'm sure he'll take it.
That was it in pre-season. He looked very sharp, didn't he? And so, is it for him? Is it a case of consistency?
Yeah, and against when he come in against Sunderland in the cup, I thought he had a great game. I thought he performed very, very well, and I thought his work would have gone probably a little bit unnoticed, really, on the time, because you know, some of the other players were getting all the plaudits and the highlights on it. So in terms of that was it really. But I think Jaden's in a position where he's ready to strike and stake a claim to get in, and you know, as I said to you, you know, when the opportunity comes for him, I'm sure he'll grab it with both hands.
Cheers, Darren. Good luck for tomorrow.
Thanks, chaps. Thank you.
Cheers, Darren.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Thank you.